Welcome to the bell curve. Curiosity is supposed to be a virtue. Every school lesson, every science textbook, every well-meaning adult tells us the same thing. Ask questions, explore, look closer. Horror games historically agree, at least on the surface. They dangle secrets, they hide notes, they reward the player who strays off the path. Mouthwashing does something different. It lets you be curious, then watches you do it, and then calmly, deliberately, it makes you regret it. This is not a game about jump scares, or monsters, or reflexes. This is a game about routines, compliance, and the quiet terror of realizing that your need to understand might be the worst possible instinct you could have. And that isn't an accident, that's the design. On paper, mouthwashing sounds almost aggressively mundane. You are a low-ranking crew member aboard a long-haul space vessel. Your job is not heroics, your job is maintenance. Cleaning, checks, procedures. The title itself tells you everything you need to know. This is a game about hygiene, repetition, and bodily upkeep. No epic quest, no chosen one, no promise that anything you do will matter in a satisfying way. And if that already sounds unpleasant, good, you're paying attention. Because mouthwashing understands something many horror games miss. Fear doesn't always come from danger. Sometimes it comes from obligation. Video games train us, over decades, to behave in a very specific way. If you see a door, you check it. If you see a note, you read it. If something looks slightly out of place, you interact. Curiosity is not just encouraged, it's mechanically reinforced. Mouthwashing uses that conditioning against you. It presents spaces that look explorable but feel wrong. Not obviously threatening, just off. A corridor that's too quiet, a room that feels unfinished, a task that technically doesn't require further inspection, but might reward it. The game never tells you not to look closer, it simply lets you, and then it records the fact that you did. Here's where mouthwashing becomes genuinely unsettling. When you make a mistake in most horror games, the punishment is immediate and theatrical. A chase, a scream, a death scream. Mouthwashing doesn't bother. Instead, consequences arrive late, quietly, sometimes so subtly you're not even sure they are consequences, until the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Dialogue shifts, environmental details change, your sense of control narrows. The game never scolds you, it never explains itself, it simply adjusts the world in response to your behaviour, as if making a private note in a ledger you're not allowed to see. That uncertainty is crucial, because fear arrives in ambiguity, and mouthwashing is built almost entirely out of it. At the centre of the experience is routine. Brush, rinse, repeat. Check the systems, log the status, move on. The tasks are deliberately boring. They are not puzzles, they are not challenges, they are chores. And that's where the horror creeps in. You are not frightened because something is attacking you. You are frightened because you are trapped in a system that doesn't care whether you are frightened or not. The ship doesn't react to your emotional state. The procedures remain the same whether you are calm, anxious, or quietly unravelling. That indifference is oppressive. It mirrors real-world structures all too well. Workplaces, institutions, hierarchies, where following procedure is more important than understanding why the procedure exists. Mouthwashing never spells this out. It doesn't need to. You feel it. At several points, mouthwashing gives you the impression that you have choices. You can linger, you can explore, you can disobey the spirit of your role. And the game allows this, just enough to make you believe you're asserting yourself. But here's the trick. Nothing you do grants you power. It only grants you information. And information in mouthwashing is not empowering, it's corrosive. The more you learn, the less comfortable your position becomes, not because you're closer to solving anything, but because you're now aware of how little solving was ever possible. Curiosity doesn't lead to mastery here, it leads to exposure. Wrong Organ, as a developer, has a very particular interest: discomfort without spectacle. They strip away genre safety nets, they remove catharsis, they refuse to let the player feel clever for too long. In Mouthwashing, this manifests as restraint. No bombastic soundtrack, no grotesque visual excess, no villain monologues spelling out the themes. Instead, you get silence, you get implication, you get the slow dawning realization that the game knows exactly what kind of player you are and has accounted for it. This is horror built on anticipation, not payoff, and that's why it lingers. There's a moment, different for every player, when something clicks. You realize the game isn't testing your reflexes, it isn't testing your intelligence, it's testing your restraint. How often do you check something you don't need to? How quickly do you escalate a situation just to see what happens? How comfortable are you leaving questions unanswered? Most games reward thoroughness. Mouthwashing treats it as a liability. And that inversion is deeply unsettling because it attacks a core gamer identity. The idea that playing properly means seeing everything. Here, seeing everything may be the worst possible outcome. The title isn't metaphorical by accident. Mouthwashing is a ritual of maintenance, not healing, not improvement, just keeping decay at bay. The game constantly draws parallels between the ship and the human body. Both are systems that require upkeep. Both can function while quietly failing. Both can appear stable long after something has gone irreversibly wrong. You are maintaining a thing that may already be beyond saving. And the game never confirms whether your efforts matter. Most horror games eventually give you an out, a final confrontation, an escape sequence, a sense of resolution, even if it's bleak. Mouthwashing is not interested in that fantasy. It offers you no clear victory state, no definitive triumph over the system you're trapped in. Even when the game ends, it doesn't feel like a release. It feels like the cessation of observation, as if the experiment has concluded, and you're left alone with the knowledge you gained. Knowledge that doesn't help you, but can't be unlearned. The reason Mouthwashing works isn't that it's scary in a traditional sense. It works because it understands modern anxiety. The fear of doing everything you were told to do and still being complicit in something wrong. The fear that awareness doesn't equal agency. The fear that curiosity, rather than saving you, might simply make you more aware of your own powerlessness. This is a horror for people who don't believe in monsters, but do believe in systems. And that's a far more common audience than we like to admit. Perhaps the most unsettling thing Mouthwashing does is how calmly it ends. No judgment, no explanation, no reassurance that you played correctly. The game doesn't care whether you regret your curiosity, it only needed you to act on it. And that's the final insult. You weren't punished because you were reckless, you weren't punished because you were cruel, you were punished because you behaved exactly like a video game player is supposed to. Mouthwashing isn't a game you recommend lightly. It's uncomfortable, it's slow, it withholds satisfaction with almost surgical precision. But it is also one of the most honest horror experiences in years, because it doesn't ask what scares you. It asks what you can't stop yourself from doing, and then it builds the entire experience around that flaw. Curiosity didn't kill the cat here, it just made things worse, and the game knew it would.